the Wednesday Recovery Uncovered with B and B. Hi, B.
Hey, Danya. Hey, D.
Hi, B.
Yeah. And today we have Melissa. Melissa Reyes has been so awesome in coming in and joining us today to give her experience, strength, and hope on Recovery Uncovered. So, Melissa,
Hi.
hey. So,
Hi.
so, so tell us a little bit about how your first, I guess, journey or how you found recovery or how recovery found you. No?
Well, yeah, that's probably better said how recovery found me because um, I don't know. I can only speak for myself, but originally it wasn't like one day I woke up and was like, "This is it. Today's the day. I'm not going to do drugs and alcohol no more." Unfortunately for me, I had to have a little nudge from the judge a couple of times, and luckily for me, I found my way at Rise Recovery, PADAP, a little over 4.5 years ago. So
What's your sobriety date,
that
Melissa?
July 26, 2015.
Awesome.
So excited. It's like around the corner, but it's just not close enough. But that's okay, one day at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So really, I found myself February 2015 getting some pretty severe trouble, and I was encouraged to stay sober on my own, and I was not able to maintain that. Didn't take for very long for me to like have another suggestion on trying to stay sober, and that didn't work out. For me, eventually, I had to be asked to be put on antabuse, have a breathalyzer that I had to blow in 3 times a day,
Yeah.
drug tests that I had to do once a week. And even then, I still was like struggling with this idea of like, if this is something that I want to do or not, stay sober. And I'm so grateful that they suggested them to rise because for me, that's when initially it started happening. I think I don't know about most people, but for me, when I got to those rooms, I was like, this is not where I need to be. These people aren't going to be able to help me. What do these people know? Like, this isn't going to work. And as I continued to keep coming back, because that's the only thing they asked of me, I was very resistant and in denial, like most people. And it was really tough. I remembered the day it happened that I challenged myself. One of the counselors was like, not telling you have a problem, but if you can't stop doing drugs or putting substance in your body for more than 30 days, and maybe there's something you need to look at. And for me, I had enough clarity where I could like challenge myself to do that. And then when I did that and I was not able to succeed effectively, I eventually got to the gift of desperation. I got desperate enough, and I started seeing something. I started seeing that there was more things that I had in common with the people in the rooms instead of sitting there worried about how different I was with them. And slowly, I just it started like this, right? Like I had like this much idea that I could do it, and they just kept encouraging me, and I kept coming back, and slowly but surely surrendered completely, and caused me to be in this very uncomfortable place where I was not used to being without substances. So I had to find like something to rely on, and that group that's what that turned out for me. That group support and unity is what kind of helped me get to that next step. And then eventually I made an appointment to meet with a counselor. Then eventually I made some accountability buddies, and eventually I took some suggestion and got a sponsor. Um, and then after I got the sponsor, they're like, well, maybe you should call her. So, it was a very slow progression for me, but I am so grateful that it happened the way it did, because for me, it felt very organic. It was my decision, to turn my will and my life over to the care of God is the way I understood him, and here I am. I can't even believe it that it's almost going to be 5 years. It's so insane. The first couple of years were a struggle, but I always remember Josh Green. When I think we were like, I think he's like a year ahead of me or something. But I remember he like turned around and he was just like, Melissa, he's like, you're going to feel so good. He's like, when you get to where I'm at in your sobriety, you're just going to feel so good. You're going to not even understand why you felt that way before. And I remember that. And I'm like, I feel like that's how I feel today when I talk to people, the newcomers, when there's someone new in the room. Like, I feel like I want to just be like fired up for being like, man, it feels so good on this side of the bridge. Just keep coming over. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you wanted, but that's what.
No. That's really awesome. One thing
Yeah.
I think that is really, really unique, and people should, realize on what you did. Like, it didn't sound like you went to any kind of treatment or inpatient treatment or anything, but you just relied, relied on coming into meetings, coming to that support, and doing that. I guess, what were you doing that like on a daily basis, or how often or how frequently were you?
Well, originally, honestly, I was recommended to come like once a week. And at the beginning of my journey, I found that really difficult. Like, I couldn't even make it into the rooms half the times. Like, I would show up and I can't, I think about that fear that I had then, and it was like so heavy and so immense. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't get into the rooms. And then finally, just mustering up that courage to like, okay, like don't do this and show up today, and it was like natural. Like, as soon as I surrendered the idea that I could not do this by myself and there was no way I was going to figure it out, which took a long time because I was facing like, I think my 50 WI. They already told me it was like a prison sentence. 10 years was the maximum that they were giving me. So like, originally I was just like, okay, if I could just show the judge that I'm a functioning member of society, then that's going to be it. But then I struggled, man. I struggled like February, March, April, May, June. Man, it was difficult. July, whenever I took that challenge, going into August, I was in pain and agony. Man, I can't even, I say I wasn't under a doctor's care, but, hindsight, looking back, like I probably should have been, you know. But yeah, the group is the Rise Recovery Group, because I went to some AA and that didn't work, and I went to some NA and I didn't feel okay there. And I got to Rise. I don't know, I just felt okay there. And originally it was 1 time a week, and I wasn't even able to obtain that. Like, I would like crash course it, do like a workshop, an education, a couple of group meetings. So I'd had it really impacted the first time, and then I started to like draw it out. But it became a necessity. Like, right, pretty clear when I surrendered, which was around November. Like, it was a necessity. Like, I had to be in a meeting, or like I was not going to be okay. So that's how it happened. And then I pretty quickly made some accountability buddies, and that's whenever I started to flourish, because the friends that I made in the rooms, they've been my friends throughout this journey. Some of them, they decided not to take this route, and I have some friends that that did, and I'm so grateful for them, because there was times that I didn't want to go to a meeting, that I wasn't feeling it. They would call me out of the blue, and I'd be like, "Oh, what do you want?" And they're like, "Well, I had seen you in a while, just seeing if you're going to come to a meeting." And I'm like, all right, fine. Like, they didn't even really ask me to come to meetings. So I was just like, fine, I'll show up at a meeting, but once I realized like how good I felt, like once I started to like understand, like when I got to the room, how I felt safe and comfortable, like all day long, I would just be like, oh my God, I can't wait to go to a meeting tonight. And then I'd get to the meeting and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm safe, It's a lot of weird feelings, like now today, I don't have to really experience a lot of that agony. So that's really what I try to do whenever I attend meetings or whatnot. I try to let people know, like, you do not have to suffer alone, buddy. Just surrender and let people help you. And I know for me, that's been the gift, because I was that person that didn't want nobody to help me do anything.
Mhm.
if I couldn't figure it out, then there wasn't a way to figure it out, So
Yeah.
so
Did you-
grateful for the people along the way.
Wow. Yeah, I think you summed that up really, really nicely. This idea of knowing that, one, we cannot do this thing alone. Having that
Um,
support, what I'm saying, in that groups and those calls just along the way, what I'm saying, just to give
yeah.
us that extra push, that we can do this. It's kind of like, once again, Danya, we were talking about on our first podcast, this idea of sticking with winners. What you talked
Oh
about
my
with our
gosh.
accountability
Yes.
buddies,
Have that support.
yeah, and it's so crazy, right? On how everything's kind of like, I don't know if it's wouldn't want to say full circle, but like all the doors and everything is opened up. Like, look where you're at today.
Right.
Melissa, I mean, it's such an inspiration.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because you came to Rise, you came to PADAP, you know what I'm saying? As a member, now you're working with us, what I'm saying? And you're that one and that light, that beacon hope to be able to tell people and show people like, hey man, I've been right there, right where you're at, sitting in the rooms and feeling what that they're feeling, and knowing that coming, right, to the groups that we have, or any group for that matter, but the groups that we have can give them that type of support.
Um,
That's needed.
You came in because you had to come in, right? At first.
yeah. I
That's
came
just
in because I had to
amazing
come in.
story.
Yeah.
Well, I've been, and I've been to classes before. I had I mean, it wasn't my first rodeo. The one thing that I can be honest about that I did differently, and it was plugging into a support system. And I try to let people know that, because I'm like, man, I struggled so many years just being miserable, just being miserable, being in trouble, you know, and until I, got to this place where like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 37 and I haven't really accomplished much, and just first, like, being so grateful to God to create that space for me to do this. I'm so grateful, because I just know, like, my life would not be the same. Like, if I would have not plugged in, got the help that I needed, like, yeah, definitely, like, talking about doors that have been open and closed.
Yes.
Originally, I'm not from San Antonio, but never wanted to be here before in my entire life, and this is where my recovery unfolded. I always think about it like a flower. It was just such a beautiful journey. All the struggles, like, I'm grateful for every wrong turn that got me to where I'm at, because I know the type of addictions that I struggle, like, as long as my disease was comfortable, which I was very good at allowing it to be comfortable, like, I wasn't going to do anything different. So for me, having this opportunity to live, right, to like live this amazing life, and without having to use chemicals, like, I don't know, man, it's crazy. If you would have told me that 5 years ago that I'd be doing it, I'd be like, yeah, right, there's no way. But
So beautiful.
Like, you're lying.
yeah, definitely.
Well, wow, that's just a really, really amazing story. I want to thank you, Melissa, so much for coming to join us this afternoon now.
Yeah, this was so fun.
Yeah, we definitely got to do this again. So I guess we're going to wrap it up. You good?
All right.
Good, Dawnya?
You. I'm
All right.
good.
Thank you, Melissa. All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you.
Love ya. Guys, have a
Love
great
you.
day.
Bye.
Uh,